Hey guys, this is Dr. Bajtalan Meskó, the Medical Futurist. I do live Q&A sessions with you on YouTube every few weeks, but those are dedicated sessions. It's always about a specific topic like the role of technology giants in healthcare or the future of artificial intelligence in medicine. And when you have questions during those live Q&As which are not about these topics, I try to keep them as dedicated as possible so I cannot answer them. That's why now we at the Medical Futurist asked you on every channel that we have on social media if you might have any questions about any topics, and many of you did. So now the plan is that I will go through as many as possible and answer to the best of my knowledge, and we will see what comes out of it. Let's get into that. Cat Dave Wither asked the question, how do you find new leaders, visionaries, who understand the benefits of having a common platform and standards for patient data? Well, Cat Dave, I don't think we have to find them. I'm afraid we have to train them. Otherwise, how would they know how to handle patient data, how to create a healthcare ecosystem that would cherish patient data and strive for an equal level partnership between patients and healthcare professionals? No medical curriculum, no university course have been structured around this idea. So now we have to launch and design courses that would train these leaders. So we cannot just find them, we train them. Next one. The question is coming from D-Health. Do you think the implementation of blockchain technology in healthcare will solve the problem of secure storage and transfer of medical data? Where D-Health, I don't think it will solve these issues, but the blockchain technology specifically can be useful in certain areas, such as fighting counterfeit drugs, fake medicines, such as making data more secure during clinical trials, and even allowing patients to finally monetize their data so they can keep on owning their data, and on the long term, if companies make a profit off of it, they can also get something out of it. That would be the general idea. So blockchain won't solve all these technological issues, but it can contribute to making healthcare in general more efficient and patient-centric. Question from Linda B. Wen. What steps must be completed so that all the independent, disparate, different research teams working on technology for extremely rare conditions become aware of each other's efforts and speed up time to delivery for clinical trials and FDA delivery and approvals? Well, the long tail effect of social media comes in handy at this point, because there are some research groups, there are some startups and companies focusing on extremely rare conditions that can only find each other through social media, through online communities. These research groups have been scattered around the world working on their own, but now they can share data, they can share experience, they can look at their own studies, and they can only do that through social media. So if I were such a company, such a research group, I would advise them to actively look for and reach out to other groups and other startups working in the same fields of interest. Ian Velas has a question. I would ask you who you expect the major players will be in the pre-chronic/preventative care scene. Well, Ian, I think technology giants have quite a good shot at that. Pharma and biotech companies have not been good at that part, and healthcare providers, health insurance companies have not been leading this field. But as the preventative pre-chronic stages require the use of many advanced technologies, I think technology giants have a good chance of contributing to that if they can collaborate with patient groups, with medical startups, with digital health groups enough. Otherwise, the technology giants wouldn't understand the regulatory background, the evidence-based approach of medicine. But with that, I think they could contribute to this field significantly. J. Michael Connors, MD, has a question. How much do you clinically practice? Well, Michael, I don't. My childhood dream was to become a medical researcher. That's why I graduated from medical school as a general physician. And then I finished PhD training in clinical genomics. And during those years, I saw patients. But right after reaching my childhood dream, I switched to futuristic studies, becoming a professional futurist researcher. And since then, for the last almost 15 years, I haven't been seeing patients because I work as a researcher. Marcio Magalhães I'm amazed by digital health potential to change lives, opportunities, and personal development learning about. What's your advice about digital health learning path for dummies? Marcio, I would love to give you a recommendation about something that we at the Medical Futurist didn't create, but I cannot do that because we have a course for digital health dummies. The digital health course on the digitalhealthcourse.com was designed for people who would be interested in digital health and its future, and those people who would professionally and or financially benefit from better understand the digital health now and being able to better forecast its future. The link will be in the description under this video. Bill McLean, what does the future of healthcare 2030 look like, leaving physical inventions aside? Okay, it's a very specific question, so I guess I cannot even talk about algorithms if I cannot talk about physical inventions. So then the general assumptions about the healthcare system in 2030 would include patients becoming the point of care wherever they are receiving diagnosis, monitoring or treatment. The data from patients arriving at the point of care before they do physically. Healthcare becoming globalized because of global supply chains and digital health. The hierarchy between patients and physicians becoming an equal level partnership. Sharing data, sharing responsibility. The role of patients changing from being a passive stakeholder into a proactive, engaged member of the medical team. And the role of the physicians from being the key holders to the ivory tower of medicine, changing into a sort of a guide role for their patients in the jungle of information. Maybe that's a package I can share with you, leaving physical inventions aside. Elliot Pollack, in your view, what's the single biggest issue in global healthcare today? That's a very simple yet very challenging question. I think that's the single biggest issue in not digital health but global healthcare today is the lack of understanding of how the stakeholders of healthcare could and should use advanced technologies. And as long as we don't know how to do it, because medical curriculums don't prepare medical professionals for that, healthcare providers, policymakers don't understand about these technologies enough, and patients have never been educated about these, how we can expect any stakeholder to learn to use those. But if we could learn to use those technologies, I think we could significantly improve healthcare, time-wise, efficiency-wise, and even safety-wise. Christina Booth, DOMS. Should a new role be created in medicine to help relieve the burden of data? A kind of data analyst, physician who understands medicine and uses AI and tech to manage a hospital, clinics, overwhelming data results for patients? Christina, I think every healthcare professional will have to be able to do it themselves without us calling them different names. I mean, there will be data analyst roles. We had an article on medicalfuturist.com about future professions in medicine and healthcare, and one of those was a health data analyst. But what you described, I think every physician will have to be able to do that on their own. To use AI, to use patient data, to get something meaningful out of that bunch of data. But they might also reach out to ask for help from health data analysts to really find clinical meanings in the jungle of data sets they have to analyze daily. Zoltan N. How far are we from an in vivo imaging system that can diagnose cellular level alterations and would be able to replace current excision biopsy-based histology with digital in vivo histology? How is that field going to be called? Will it be under radiology or pathology? Well, in silico clinical trials are in the making. Some virtual trials have taken place already, but I think what you're describing, we're pretty far from what you are actually describing technology-wise. So I think the technologies for the elements of your question exist. In vivo imaging systems, cell level microscopy, but to be able to replace biopsy, I think even fluid biopsy should be the one to replace biopsy first. And maybe a decade after that, we can look at such really advanced technological systems. I mean, what you described sounds amazing, but a little bit of science fiction for now. Michael Markert, why do you present all the cool new devices, but never when and where one could get access by try it? Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Michael. Yes, we do receive a lot of digital health gadgets to test, but it's not my job to sell them, and we never accept sponsorship, any kind of money for testing and reviewing these devices. We don't even show the results of the review process, a video, an article, to the company before you see it. They see the videos and the articles when you do, and that's how we can keep it, that's how we can keep being objective as much as possible. But we always include a URL to the company's website, so you can find the cool new devices there. Thomas Michalek: who is being left behind in the digital health revolution? It's a very smart question to ask, Thomas. I think those who have a hard time with either health literacy or digital health literacy. For example, elderly patients, they are being left behind, and I don't see how digital health technologies could help fill those gaps. Maybe the digital health mentors that I've seen some countries having plans to train could be a way to fill in these gaps, but the technologies won't do that for us. Pratik Karhelia: can digital health improve diversity and inclusion in clinical trials? How? Yes, I think digital health technologies can help fill in that gap. Virtual clinical trials are on the way. The way the long tail effect of social media works, I think it can still be applied to recruiting patients for clinical trials. If there's a patient with a rare condition and a clinical trial aiming for that, these two rare needs can only meet through social media. Shazia Iqbal: can AI fix obstetrics medical errors and litigations for health professionals? Well, Shazia, I think AI-based technologies can help reduce medical errors, not just in obstetrics, but in many medical specialties, if healthcare professionals working in those specialties learn how to use it, and policies and regulations and guidelines are strong and reliable enough to make it happen. There have been some good studies showing promise in that field. Saima Fancy: as medical privacy and privacy engineering gain traction in the medical world, do you see greater consumption for privacy-enhancing technology in medical devices with a view to minimize ethical issues and harms such as bias? I think it's vice versa. We can only minimize ethical issues and bias while using these technologies, not because we can use these technologies more and more, but because we can be more conscious about removing bias in advance. For example, bias in AI only appear not because the algorithm becomes biased, but because the data we feed the algorithm with is biased. And if developers keep that in mind, that the data could be biased and actively fight against it, we can actually reduce bias and such errors in advanced technologies. Sergey P: could technology solve a staffing shortage crisis in the US healthcare? Sergey, not just in the US healthcare system, but worldwide, I think it's inevitable to turn to AI-based solutions to fill in the gaps that we see between the number of healthcare professionals, which has been rising, but not as much as the number of patients requiring medical assistance, medical help. And we can only fill that gap with the use of advanced technologies. We published a study at the Medical Futurist Institute about how AI could help solve the HR crisis of healthcare. Scott Ijaz: what's an under-acknowledged systemic issue in digital health? Thank you, Scott, for the question. It's the lack of appreciation of the cultural transformation that's going on in healthcare today. It's not a technological revolution. It might seem like one, but it's a cultural transformation, and it's far under-acknowledged in the whole digital health world. Many people, company leaders, policymakers keep on thinking that it's a technological revolution, so let's keep on focusing on technologies, while I think we should focus on the cultural aspects that the use of technologies. And the last one, Adam Holubek: how long did your longest Tetris game take? Once I was like 8 years old, and we went to visit my parents' friends, and I remember spending about 3 hours on one game before dinner, and then during dinner, and my parents and their friends thought that I had some mental issues because I was focusing on the game for at least 4 hours. And then I lost it. It became so hard. So it was about 4 hours. I remember even the exact day and the place where I was when I did that. So thanks for the question. Thanks for all these thoughtful, amazing questions. And if you have more, that's why I do live Q&A sessions on YouTube. You can subscribe to the channel for free, and you will get notifications about when the next live Q&A sessions might take place. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe below. so you will get notified about all the videos we come up with. Plus, please check out the digitalhealthcourse.com, the platform where you can learn all the things around digital health and the future of healthcare.